In the meantime, Minister of National Heritage Jagat Balasurya says that we must come forward to preserve Asian heritage on an Asian and national level.
The minister made this statement at a conference held in Colombo today.
Chairman of Sri Lanka Foundation.
A three-day international conference on Asian art, culture and heritage organised by the International Association for Asian Heritage together with the Centre for Asian Studies at the University of Kelaniya and the Ministry of Culture and Arts commenced in Colombo today.
In reference to heritage in Asian countries, we are bound by religious, cultural, social patterns, and I believe that we should come forward to pursue the Asian heritage on Asian and national level.
10 memorial awards were presented at the inauguration of the conference today by the International Association for Asian Heritage. Memorial awards were presented to personalities who have contributed to the preservation of heritage of the Sri Lanka Mahabodhi Society, Venerable Banagala Upadesa Thera, and the Governor of the Sabaragamu Province, WJM Lokubandara. A number of incidents where viharas have been destroyed and ancient artifacts stolen. Treasure thieves damaged the Naipena Vihara in Polonnaruwa. A number of ancient artifacts on display at the Buddhangala Aranya Senasana in Anuradhapura missing. 2 treasure hunters arrested while carrying out excavations in the Pahagol area in Nella, Ampara. 15 treasure hunters arrested in Madrigirya while attempting to carry out excavations. Requests from several factions to amend the archaeology ordinance to protect ancient artifacts for the prevention of the destruction of history.
Former UNP General Secretary Sirisena Kure says that a leader who does not have gratitude can never become victorious.
He points out that R. Premadasa proved through action that he possessed gratitude, the most valuable quality of a leader.
Former UNP General Secretary Sirisena Kure had this to say on the leadership qualities of late President R. Premadasa, who respected leaders, supporters and the people who brought him victory as one.
कोई नायकेक वुणොත් කෙලේ ගුණ දන්න නායකයෙක් විය යුතුයි.
Any leader must show gratitude. A leader who does not show gratitude will never go right. The best value of leadership is gratitude, and this is not limited to the leadership. Every person who receives assistance from someone returns the favor. It is the people that vote for us. We help the people who vote for us. Why? Because we have gratitude. As soon as Lord Buddha attained Buddhahood, his first response was to the tree that provided shade. There is another factor that I must mention. I made a note of this during the Ramadan festival. The Quran says that the man who has no gratitude is a man who has forgotten God. People like that will never go right. Anyone will know that I worked very closely with our Premadasa. All of a sudden he would ask me to find a certain person, so I would find them wherever they were. These were ordinary people, but he wanted to meet them because they had assisted him in some way. Even when he was president, he would do this. I am saying this because this was the reason for their success.
ජනාධිපති වෙලා මම මේ කියන්නේ කෙලෙහි ගුණ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ සාර්ථකත්වය ඒක තමයි. කියන්නේ ප්‍රේමදාස කියන
I can fearlessly say that Premadasa's character should be studied by every child in this country.
එනේ කරන්න ඕන තත්ත්වයක් කියලා මම කියන බය නැතු කියන.
News First U reporter Pumit Subhashana from Mathura filed this report on an accident that occurred in the area today.
A motor accident occurred at about 7:15 this morning at the Valgama junction in Mathura. 3 people were injured in this accident involving a truck and a bus transporting students from the Mathura Nursing College and were admitted to the Mathura General Hospital.
Yes, sir. You report Pumit Subhashana, Mathura City.
A group of thieves had broken into a private financial institution in the Gampaha town this afternoon and made off with gold and cash. The police said that five armed men had arrived at the private financial institution this afternoon and made off with the gold and cash. The police say that the thieves made off with cash amounting to 1,169,800 rupees and gold items valued at 16,880,600 rupees. Speaking at a media briefing convened today, the Executive Director of the Centre for Policy Alternatives, Dr. Pakiyasothi Saravanamuthu, expressed the following views regarding the UN Human Rights Commissioner's impending visit.
Those two resolutions, in that sense, form of terms of reference, if you like. But, of course, the visit is not exclusively restricted to that. Since the passage of the resolutions, a lot has happened in this country which have gone against the spirit and the letter of reconciliation. There are a number of incidents that have taken place which have added, if you like, to the column of negative incidents and regressive steps. And I think that, at the end of the day, is the key question. Is the human rights situation in our country improving, or is it in greater danger of deterioration?
Now, as mentioned in tonight's headlines, the main indices of the Colombo Stock Exchange recorded significant losses today.
The benchmark all-share price index recorded a loss of 1.73% at the close of trading today.
The benchmark ASPI opened today at 6,224 points. During trading throughout the day, the ASPI recorded a loss of 107.7 points, falling to 6,116.67 points by today's close. Share prices of a number of major blue-chip companies recorded losses today. The top two losses in trading today recorded share price losses of 25 and 21% respectively, while three other companies recorded losses of between 11 and 15%. Total turnover of the day was 955 million rupees, with 26.7 million shares being traded.
Syrian activists have accused President Bashar al-Assad's forces of launching a nerve gas attack on rebel-held districts near Damascus early this morning that they say killed more than 200 people.
While in the north and northeast of the country, most Syrian refugees are flooding the border into Iraq in unprecedented numbers, causing a humanitarian crisis.
At a field hospital in Sakba, just east of Damascus, the injured in the alleged nerve gas attack started streaming in just after morning prayers. Many of the casualties, it is alleged, were women and children who arrived convulsing with symptoms including foaming at the nose and mouth, dilated pupils and erratic heartbeats. The doctors say these are the typical symptoms of a nerve gas victim. The state-run Sana news agency said the Syrian government denied using chemical weapons. The attacks took place in rebel strongholds close to Damascus, which the regime has for more than a year been desperately trying to take back. They don't want the rebels pushing into the capital. If it is true that nerve agents have been used, it comes at a time when a UN group is in the country to determine if either side in the conflict has used chemical weapons. However, the scope of the probe is being seen as limited, as the inspectors are only permitted to assess 3 areas approved by the Assad regime. At least 5,100 alone arrived yesterday. Walking long distances in spiraling desert temperatures, these refugees arrived exhausted and dehydrated. A representative from the International Organization for Migration told reporters in Geneva the Syrian Kurds feared attacks by various armed rebel groups, including Al-Qaeda-linked Jabhat al-Nusra. More than 1.9 million Syrians have fled to neighboring countries or North Africa since March 2011. The violence that is causing this human exodus is showing no signs of abating. Alexander Holmes reporting for the News First International Desk.
We now have Alexander Holmes from the News First International Desk to tell us more about the crisis in Syria. Alex, how serious are these conflicts between the Syrian Kurdish community and the rebel jihadi groups?
Well, the violence is definitely set to increase. You have the Kurdish community in Syria in the north and northeastern part of Syria. Now, they have sought to keep the fighting out of their area, so far avoiding conflict with both the opposition and the regime. But so far, now this is unavoidable. You have the rise of jihadi groups in the area, such as the Al-Nusra Front. They operate just below in the east, and they are trying to assert mini Islamic states in the east and northeastern parts of Syria. So they are pushing further into Kurdish regions, and they are therefore the fighting is certainly escalating. Just recently, last month, hundreds were killed in the town, 2 towns actually, southeast of Aleppo, and so this is definitely bringing another layer to the conflict, almost like a civil war within a civil war.
Right. Now, how does the Al-Nusra Front differ from other rebel jihadi groups operating in Syria?
Well, the Al-Nusra Front, they are the principal rebel jihadi group operating in Syria. They are Al-Qaeda affiliated, like the other groups, but where they have their stronghold in the east, they have vast reserves of silos of wheat, factories, oil and gas fields, so they're able to provide to the towns they've captured, bread for the population, healthcare, free electricity and water even, and a judiciary system with new judges, all under Sharia law, of course. But this Al-Nusra Front are extremely organised, very disciplined and very ruthless.
Well, there you go. That's the latest on the Syrian conflict, courtesy of Alexandra Holmes from the News First International Desk. Sri Lanka is through to the semi-finals of the Asian Cricket Council Emerging Teams Cup after defeating Singapore.
The match was held at Kallang Stadium in Singapore. Batting first, Sri Lanka's under-23 opener Udara Jayasundara put on 72 runs. Wicketkeeper batsman Niroshan Dikwala contributed 34 runs while Danushka Gunatilaka scored 33. Mohammad Shoaib was the pick of the bowlers, racking up figures of 4 for 16 in 8.5 overs. Chaminda Kumarage picked up 3 scalps for 33 runs in his 9 overs for the Singaporeans. Sri Lanka put on 191 runs in 48.5 overs. The Sri Lankan bowlers then succeeded in restricting the Singaporean batsmen to 178 runs in their 50 overs, picking up 5 wickets in the process. Anis Param scored 62 runs for the Singaporeans. Sri Lanka's under-23s have now defeated Bangladesh, the United Arab Emirates and Singapore in Group B to reach the semi-finals of the Asian Cricket Council Emerging Teams Cup.
Day 1 of the 5th and final test of the summer's blockbuster cricket series, the Ashes, is currently underway at the Kennington Oval in England.
Australia won the toss today and decided to take first lease of the wicket.
3 players are making their test debuts today. Australia's James Faulkner and England's Simon Kerrigan and Chris Woggs.
David Warner and Chris Rogers opened the batting for Australia, but Warner's innings was short-lived as he was dismissed for 6, with Australians on 11.
Watson joined Rogers at the crease and started out strong with the pair putting on a 107-run stand. However, Rogers too found himself heading back to the pavilion after 23 runs caught by Jonathan Trott off the bowling of Graham Swan.
Skipper Michael Clarke was next to go, bowled by Jimmy Anderson for just 7 runs.
However, a strong performance from Shane Watson, who crossed the century mark earlier today, has the Australians still in a position of strength.
A short while ago, the Aussies were on 240 for 3.
Smith goes and goes well. Lovely shot. It's a Shane Watson special.
Well, there you go. That's a look at your primetime news bulletin for today. Thanks a lot for joining us. I'm Shane Silva.
And I'm Samadhi Gunasekara. Good night and take care.
First at 9.
Hotline 0114-896-896. www.newsfirst.lk. Feedback at newsfirst.lk.